Hello again, everyone. Edwin Leonard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about the September 29th, 2023 Supermoon in Aries, Part 1 of 2. Now, a supermoon in astrology, it's like a full moon, except it can be more, I would say, be more powerful and intense than a regular full moon. I believe the effects of it can be stronger in contrast to the regular full moon. Supermoon occurs when the moon is in its closest proximity to Earth. Things may really hit home, so to speak, when this transpires. The full moon in astrology can reflect uninhibited, unrestrained emotional expression. It can represent energy that had been suppressed for some time. It's when one can become simply tired, full, or exasperated at something or someone. It can also manifest in the completion or ending of something, a culmination of something. Sometimes it may be expressed in something that is unveiled. Um, what may have started out with the new moon in Virgo may culminate with the supermoon in Aries. It could be, like, say, when the new moon hit Virgo, or the new moon was in Virgo, it could have been the beginning for some of a health regime, and with the supermoon in Aries, it may culminate with just simply being in better physical shape. And this transit can affect all signs collectively, but especially those that have an Aries or Cancer sun, moon, or ascendant. Now, Aries, of course, because it's going to be in their own sign, and the zodiac sign Cancer, well, because the moon rules Cancer, and the zodiac sign Cancer may simply be very sensitive to all transits and phases of the moon. It may figure prominently as to why the zodiac sign Cancer can be so fickle, moody, and temperamental. And I would say this can have a very intense effect on someone, especially if it makes the conjunction to one's Aries sun, moon, or ascendant. Also, too, on a full moon slash supermoon, there could be a greater propensity for accidents. Emotions will be in full throttle, and given this is an Aries, it may be due to impulsive, quick, and abrupt actions. There may be a greater tendency toward road rage on this full moon in contrast to others on average. People may need to, people may need to be extra careful regarding sharp edges, corners of tables, because I don't believe this is just you know, it's just about car accidents. There could be, it's not limited to car accidents. It could be accidents doing other activities besides driving. Um, Again, people may need to be extra careful and prudent regarding, sharp edges, such as corners of tables. As an example, could be working things that could potentially burn someone if there is some, if Bunsen burners still do exist. I know they existed when I was in science class, but that was back in the prehensile days. I can remember in the early 1980s when we had them in the science lab. Now, another thing, it could be welding tools, could be another example that might burn somebody. Greater propensity again for burns, I would say, on this supermoon. They may be a little bit more serious on average in contrast to regular full moon, because again, we're talking about a supermoon, not a regular full moon. Now, again, full moons in astrology, they can reflect the ending or culmination of something. It could be the end, in this case, with this being an Aries, the end of something volatile, contentious, combative, or, acrimonious dispute. If it's in the fourth house, it could be, a contentious domestic situation with the significant. If it's in the seventh, it could be with a significant other. Say if this falls in the third house is another example. It could be a combative situation with a neighbor. Um, it might be the end if somebody was developing, something innovative or pioneering. It might be the conclusion of that. Maybe this is the time when many people may bring something, innovative out, something pioneering. It could be, the end of something in which, one was dealing with a lot of, unnecessary outspokenness, or the conclusion of something associated with sports, or leadership, or something that somebody had done, some project or endeavor in which the person was not readily discouraged. Going back to something sports related, it could be where somebody may be retiring, at this time. I know, the end of the Major League Baseball season, it comes near this time. I don't know when it ends exactly, but I believe it's somewhere late, September, maybe early October. So, and maybe something comes to an end where you might have some players that come out in Major League Baseball and say, they may announce some kind of retirement as an example. Now, another thing too about, full moon, this full moon specifically. Well, full moon in astrology, can be, it could be a revelation or unveiling of something. It could be the revelation, of some kind of courage and fortitude, something acrimonious. It might be anger, somebody that has an anger issue as an example. It could be leadership prowess, initiative, pioneering. It could be fighting ability, and also it could be where one, maybe something comes out where a person becomes more cognizant of another person that is easily provoked. It could be an ability for combat sports, or even, understanding that, somebody, being very impatient, and something that may not have been known to others before about an individual that's very impatient. Now, let's say this falls in the 12th house in one's natal chart. It could be, some kind of mental illness associated with anger that comes out. It could be a, private battle, the person opens up about. Now, in isolated cases, it could be something, like an intermittent, explosive disorder, you know. Now, let's say, especially if this makes an adverse aspect to one's Uranus. Um, and because Uranus is very, sporadic energy, intermittent energy, if you have this hitting in somebody's 12th house of mental illness, and it's making an adverse aspect to Uranus on top of it, it could increase that chance. But this is still, remote, though, I would say. Now, another thing too, this could be a time when one becomes, again, tired, exasperated, or, simply full of something. It could be the fact that this is an Aries. It could be over someone's impulsiveness, pushiness, abruptness, just being overly outspoken. It may be, regarding an argumentative or combative person, and it could simply be tired of having to do things with so much, spontaneously without planning. Um, Another thing too, in some cases, this could be the ending of an Aries job, or position, especially if this falls in what I would consider one of the money houses, well, which are really the money job houses in astrology, which would be the second, sixth, or 10th house. And this it could be the end of some people doing something with arson investigation, speech pathology, surgery, law enforcement, a military position, welding, carpentry, firefighting, or something that's sports related. Now, it's important to look at the house this falls in your natal chart, as this could impact its delineation and how it, may affect you. Now, for me, this is going to fall in my 12th house. This can manifest in a number of ways. It could be about becoming more cognizant, that impulsiveness or anger, which is Aries, maybe the self-undoing, which is the 12th house. It could be recognizing, which is the full moon, having the courage and fortitude to combat, which is Aries, hidden adversaries, which is the 12th house. Now, it could also be the end of emphasizing enthusiastically, which is Aries, doing things in solitude and seclusion, which is the 12th house. Now, another thing too is that in some cases, this may reveal an Aries health related issue. Now, especially if it falls in the first or sixth house of the chart, because the first house, of course, is associated with the physical body. Sixth house is is connected with physical health related issues. Now, if it makes a conjunction to one's sun or the ascendant, that could also be an indicator. Say if this even makes a conjunction to the ascendant from the 12th house, it still may be something physically related that is unveiled, connected with Aries. It could be, some issues, with headaches, migraines, facial injury, brain injury, or some cut to the head, face, or skull. Now, since this is a supermoon and not a regular full moon, it may manifest in some mid-level head or skull injury, something moderate, associated with the brain, like a minor concussion. Or another example could be what I would perceive as a mid-level skull injury, such as a depressed skull fracture, which may or may not require a surgical procedure. Now, it's also important to look at the aspects this makes to points in your chart, as this could impact how it affects you. Now, the supermoon in Aries is going to make a loose conjunction to my natal Chiron in Aries in the 12th house. Now, by itself, it may manifest in becoming more aware of suffering that I may be going through. It may be due to lacking the courage and the ability to confront those that were truly hidden adversaries, those that may have been impersonating themselves as friends but were actually using me. It could be an unveiling, which is the full moon, of depleted self-esteem, which is Chiron, and it may be due to identity issues, which is Aries, such as just fitting in with others in society and my place in the world, which could be tied into secret sorrows and secluded habits, which is the 12th house. And Chiron's opposition to my Uranus, which is associated with society, certainly doesn't help matters. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, Edwin Leonard saying stay well.